Sanbonan, my name is Mudinda Mbevan. Welcome to the Chosen Generation. We are going to be discussing the issue of parents who deny access to their children. We're going to look at what causes this and what we can do to ameliorate the situation. Please share your views with us on social media. The hashtag is TCG on SID. Let us know what you think about the issue. We have with us distinguished guests who are going to help us unpack this issue. In our midst today, we have Dr. Lungile Mangena, who is a psychologist. We also have amongst us Advocate Ashley Seckel. And lastly, we have a social worker who goes by the name Belinda Grunbaum. Today's question is, how does denying access to your child affect him or her? Let's start the conversation.
I think we all have our reasons why we do things. So the mother could have a reason why she doesn't want the father to see the child.
I don't think it is right in any way, on any front. Nobody should be denied access to their own offspring. I mean, we need to connect with our offspring. We need to impart knowledge to our offspring. So being denied access to your child, to your offspring I don't think it's correct in any front.
I think that's a thing that's going to haunt me, or that's going to break my heart for a lifetime, because I've got a bond with that kid, and I, as a father, I would love to be part and parcel of that kid in growing up, in nurturing, and in everything. There are some things which I want my kid to do, which he learns or he or she learns from me. So it would be heartbreaking for me to be denied access to him or her.
That's terrible. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. It's terrible, and I think children are something very close to our hearts, be it you're a man or a woman. So once a child is denied to you, you feel like it's almost the end of the world for you. So yeah.
In that situation, the child is the one that gets hurt. At that time, both parents are in denial because they're both fighting, which as they could have sat down as grown-ups and fixed that. So I think to answer the question, the mom has the reason, or the father has the reason why he doesn't want the child to see the mother and all of that.
So we are joined by very distinguished guests who are going to help us unpack this burning issue. And I'll start by introducing on my left Belinda Grunbaum. She is a social worker from the Family Life Center. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Secondly, we have Advocate Ashley Seckel. Thank you so much for being with us today. The pleasure
is mine. Thanks for having me.
And last but not least, we have psychologist Dr. Lungile Mangena. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Right, let's get into the business of the day. I think I'll start with you, Belinda. There are many types of families, but ideally, what would you say an ideal family looks like? And what are the roles that the parents should play in that ideal family?
So a family constitutes a group of persons who are united together by the ties of marriage, blood, or adoption.
Okay.
It can constitute a single household of individuals who interact with one another. In these days, the families are not only nuclear families, which consists of your mother, father, and child or children, but also single-headed households where there's just one parent that's looking after the children, as well as blended families, which is when you get your divorced families that unite together.
And what would you say are the roles of, maybe we can pick one and say, let's say in a typical family where you have a mother and father, what role would the father play and what role would the mother play in that scenario?
So the mother would be the nurturer and the carer of the children, and then the father would be the protector and the provider.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Maybe I should bring you in here, Ashley. She's just described to us what families look like in our current society. And I think from your perspective as a legal expert, maybe you can clarify to us if there are any legal rights or responsibilities that are prescribed by the South African law. If they are, what are they?
Look, it's quite interesting that, every time we have to speak about these things, it's always legal rights and then responsibilities, because everybody is always so quick to assert their rights.
Okay.
But when it comes to issues relating to children, it's actually the other way around. Responsibilities always come first.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you read court documents, you acquaint yourself with legislation, etc., you'd always realize that the phrase is responsibilities and rights.
Okay.
So before you begin to assert certain rights towards a child, you must, be aware of the responsibilities that you have towards that child. Look, three things mainly. I think one, and perhaps the most important, is the care of that child as a responsibility. Then you get to maintenance, and I'm not exhausting them. The list, there's no closed list. Then there's the maintenance of the child. And then finally, when we come to issues of rights, usually, the main points of discussion are your contact, the rights to have contact to the child. And I think that if I were to just put it in there as an introduction, is that whoever is listening, whenever you have to deal with a child, the first thing that you should ask yourself is, what responsibilities do I have towards them? And then you deal with issues of maintenance. Then maybe thirdly and lastly, then we can start talking about your rights to contact that child, either as a father or as a mother. And as we go on, I think we'll delve deeper into the nitty-gritties. But
So that's interesting. So it was by design that before you can claim rights, you must fulfill responsibilities.
Certainly so. Yeah.
That's deep. Maybe I can bring you here, Dr. Mangena. What is a good parent and a bad parent?
I'm laughing. Yes, it's a difficult question to answer because it's in psychology, good or bad. It's quite labeling.
Okay.
However, I think what comes to mind is that I can think of perhaps what's a good enough parent, just a parent that is just enough, that is responding effectively to the child's need. If the child is crying, you are able to respond. You don't laugh at the child when the child is crying, for example. You are able to just be there, present. And I would suppose a parent that is quite neglectful, quite... is just not attuned, is just not effective, is just not present, is not consistent. Perhaps I would say is a parent that's just not effective at all. Instead of using the words good or bad, I'll maybe look at them in terms of what more of effective and not effective parenting. Yeah,
no, that's very interesting. So legally, can you deny a child access to their parent because they are not effective, as you said? Is there a legal stance? So you say, this one, I don't want him with my child, or it's bad. Legal, can you make that stance?
Well, maybe just before I even getting into the what you are entitled to legally, in an ideal society, you'd want a child to be raised by both parents. That's what you'd want in an ideal society. But people do separate, people do divorce, etc., etc. What's quite important, and this is what the law emphasizes on, is that, when people are separating or people getting divorced, most often it's a one-sided affair. It gets too emotional.
Okay.
And the court almost has to come in there as I don't know, it's this party, that's having a high-level overview. And the idea is to give both parties the opportunity to express themselves before the courts. So you cannot just unilaterally just decide that I'm going to keep this child away from you as the mother because you are a drug abuser. Because to start off with, who determines that this person qualifies as a drug abuser or an alcohol abuser? You need experts to do that.
Okay.
And, generally speaking, between the parties themselves, because there's already so much emotions and commotion, they don't really reason at that level of saying, let's first get in an expert, let's see how we can work things out. And that is where the courts usually come into play. You know, and we've got very well established court systems, you know, whether you go to the magistrates court or you go to
or
the...
maybe before we go into, I think we can do that. We can go deeper onto those different types of courts. I think that's a good point. But look, we've just scratched the surface. After the break, we're going to go deeper into this issue and find out a lot more about this subject. We encourage you, viewers at home, please interact with us on the hashtag TCG on SID and tell us what you think about the subject. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back. You're still on The Chosen Generation. We are talking about parents who deny access of their children to the other parent. Please continue to share your views on the hashtag that is on the screen right now. Let us know what you think about this issue. Before the break, Ashley, you were talking about different courts and magistrate, whatever, right? That's not my area of expertise. I want to, before we go into that, I want you maybe to speak a little bit on what rights are enshrined in the Children's Act to the parents that are involved with the child that they've brought into the...
You see, it's a difficult question to ask because the Act does not prescribe that this is your right, this is your right, this is, because that differs, you know, from case to case basis. And I'm sure my good colleague here will also take us through, you know, through experience, whether the different rights that one parent is asserting. For instance, the one might say that I want you to allow me to have primary residency of the child. In another case, the other parent may not be asking for that. Some children go to school, some don't go to school. So it differs, you know, but if you were to group it in three categories, which I had mentioned much earlier, because everything seems to meet at the point of care. Everything seems to meet at the point of contact, and everything seems to meet at the point of maintenance. And then under these three categories, there's so many rights and responsibilities that will differ from case to case basis, especially in experience.
I think that's very interesting. You've given us more of the key points. I think maybe Belinda, maybe you can go and maybe point out some of the salient issues in the Children's Act that really, I think there was an amended bill somewhere to that. Maybe you can tell us what are the new regulations now and so forth. What exactly does the Children's Act say each parent has a responsibility or right to? Yeah.
Okay, well, if I may, just in terms of the Children's Acts, the father themselves, the unmarried fathers, they have a lot more rights nowadays than what they did previously.
Okay.
And this is something that society has got to start getting accustomed to, especially mothers, because mothers used to be given the primary rights over the child. But now there is provision made for unmarried fathers. So the requirements that would need to be met is that if at the time of the child's birth, the father is living with the mother in a permanent life partnership, or if he, regardless of whether he's lived or is living with the mother, consents to be identified as the child's father or pays damages in terms of customary law.
Oh, damages.
He contributes or has attempted in good faith to contribute to the child's upbringing for a reasonable period. and contributes or has attempted in good faith to contribute towards expenses in connection with the maintenance of the child for a reasonable period.
So are you saying even if damages have not been paid, the child has a right to the child?
Well, this section in the Children's Act does not affect the duty of a father to contribute towards maintenance.
Okay.
So it is actually seen as a somewhat separate issue.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Fathers have no excuse not to be, to take part in their the children's life. Dr. Mangena, I think I should bring you in here. And, we're talking about these legal issues and the Children's Act, but I think there's one thing that we are overlooking, and that's the impact on the child. What are some of the impacts that such a scenario can cause on the child who's the center of the war?
Yeah, it's so true, because we tend to forget that there is a child that is caught up in all of this. And the child, whether the mother is denying the father access to the child or vice versa, the child genetically has half, of the mother, half of the father. So if we say, if I'm a mother and I deny my child I deny the father to see my child, then I'm saying to my child that you're not good enough, because half of you is your father. So then the message that I'm sending to the child is that you are bad if I don't give you, if you don't see your father is a terrible person. If I keep saying those things, therefore, as a child, I internalize these things and they become who I am. And that's how I'm going to see myself in this world, and that's how I'm going to carry myself in this world. So the parents tend to forget that part, that you get so caught up in your battles, but actually there's still a relationship that needs to be maintained, which is parenting. You may be separated romantically, but you still parent. You still need to maintain that relationship to parent, because it does have an impact on the little one or little ones that are involved.
I think maybe you can help me, as many people say one partner is using the child as a weapon to get back at the other one. Why do people even do that? What is the problem in society that this thing always plays out in this way, where a child is a pawn in a war amongst two adults? What's the cause of that?
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, it's that preoccupation of the self instead of being parents. You are preoccupied that maybe this one cheated or maybe this one hurt me. You are so caught up in that that you can't see that you still need to be parents. That the child still needs to see you as a mom and a dad. You are able to talk when it comes to me. So it means I'm that important that I can get you guys to talk to each other about me. So when you can't do that, you are still fixated and stuck in whatever issues that happen in your romantic relationship, that you can't seem to get past that. And the bitterness, the resentment, the anger, all of those unresolved emotions, you fixated there, which is it's damaging to the child, unfortunately.
Saints, we have a problem. But we'll discuss more on this issue after the break. Please tell us what you think. Continue interacting with us on the hashtag TCG on SID. Let us know what your experiences are. Perhaps we can learn something from your story. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still on The Chosen Generation. And we've been discussing the issue of parents who deny access to their children. I'd like to encourage you to continue sharing your views on social media. Let us know what you think about this issue. Right, guys, we are back. Maybe I should start with you, Belinda. Can you define for us the terms care and contact? What by parents? What is that referring to? What does it mean?
Okay, so care is also known as custody.
Okay.
It's providing a suitable environment that encourages the child's health and growth.
Okay.
So the environment where the child is permanently residing, that is called the primary caregiver.
Okay. All right. Okay. That makes sense. So the person who is in charge of the child, that environment is called the care or what?
The primary caregiver.
The primary
yes.
caregiver.
So they would be responsible for care of the child and also supervising their daily, day-to-day living.
And contact, what does contact refer to?
Contact refers to the other parents who the child is not permanently residing with.
Okay.
They have a right to be able to keep in contact with the child and also, in other words, to develop a personal relationship with the child.
Okay. All right.
So this could be by means of being able to see the child through visits, as well as through telephonic contact or email or any other electronic means.
Okay. That's interesting. I will come back to you now. I just want to bring you in here, Advocate Sekel. So there's some interrelation between care and contact.
Yeah.
Is there a legal basis in which one can, maybe the contact can prevent the primary caregiver, the primary caregiver can prevent the person who is now divorced from accessing the child? Is there a legal framework for that?
Well, the existence of such a scenario is obvious. That happens a lot. But then I suppose the question speaks to the remedy. And so you often get a disgruntled party, either being the mother or the father. In most instances, and just for purposes of our discussion, I'm going to use this as an example, not that you don't find other scenarios at play. So now the mother is the primary caregiver, because maybe the father has now moved out post-divorce, and now the father wishes to have access to these children, but is being prevented by the mother in one way or the other. The father is able to approach the courts for assistance. Usually, the courts that are usually burdened with these type of matters are the children's courts.
Okay.
In every magistrate's court within the area where you are residing, there is a children's court within each and every magistrate's court. So what the father ought to do, or whoever the disgruntled party is, as the case may be, they need to visit the children's court within the area where the child resides.
Oh, okay.
Where the child resides. Because it's important that when the court makes a decision, it must be enforceable. And it's usually easier for the courts to enforce within the area, where they are located. So if you happen to be a disgruntled party, either the mother or the father is refusing you access, you can go to the children's court. They usually give them forms. It's known as a Form B, where you fill in the details of the child. A sheriff is appointed to go and serve the other parent who is having primary care of the child with this form. And then they are summoned to come to the court and, state their case before the magistrate. You can obviously also go, there's the family court, there's the office of the family advocate. There's other institutions, like FAMSA, private social workers, who might also be able to guide you, the best way to go about in enforcing your rights, because you do have rights, towards your child. So one of those, and I'd say that the predominant place that people go to is the children's court. So go to the children's court. The parties will be summoned before the magistrate, and where the magistrate deems it fit, a social worker will be appointed to go and conduct research, into the affairs of these parties. So they'll interview the father, they'll interview the mother, and I think we'll get into it as well later on in the discussion, but also interview the child. And then the social worker then presents a report with a recommendation to the magistrate, who then makes the final decision, and then the plan is drawn up. And then what happens is, if a plan is drawn up and it's made an order of court, and then the other party then disobeys that order of court, then you can be held in contempt of court. And then that has far-reaching repercussions.
All right, I want to come back to that. That's why I'm cutting you. Maybe I should bring you in. We have not forgotten you, Dr. Lungile. You're still part of us, and bring this aspect. Why is it important? Because it seems like the law is even geared that way. Why is it important to look after the interest of the child first? Well, what's the thinking of that? Yeah.
I mean, I suppose if we look at it from the psychological perspective, you want the child to develop healthy as possible, and not have any mental illness in future, because if we don't look at what's at the best interest of the child, then we're looking at the parents, their preoccupation, and then that has implications on the child's mental well-being and development, actually. So instead of the child self-actualizing, reaching a point where, they are functioning at their optimal level, they're going to regress, they're going to go or be fixated at a certain stage and not progress healthy. And so it's always important that whatever battles the parents are caught up in, we have to always prioritize the child, because the child is the one that's still developing here. The child is the one that needs both mom and dad, whoever the parents are at that moment, to actually be present for this child who's still developing, so that the child can perform at school, the child can be social, and not be withdrawn, and not be admitted in hospitals where now the child has anxiety, has depression, and now the child must be in a mental institution when it could actually be avoided. So it's just to prevent the implications of being caught up in your conflicts.
Oh, what a show. You've heard it for yourself, all the things that need to be done. We'd like to encourage you to continue sharing your ideas with us on social media, the hashtag TCG on SID. Tell us what you think about this issue. I'd like to thank my guests for helping us unpack this issue. I know that someone out there has been helped by all the things that you had to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.